Welcome to FPTV New Releases, where I'm privileged to be joined by one of our favourite creators at Titan Comics and at Forbidden Planet. I am here with the mighty Mike Johnson, the New York Times best-selling writer of comics, animation, games, whose credits include Star Trek, Transformers, Superman, Batman, Supergirl, Fringe, and 8. Mike and I and one of our mighty Titan editors, David Leach, had a great panel during the summer at the virtual San Diego Comic-Con. And we're here to talk with Mike about his latest book, which is Blade Runner 2029. And you can pre-order it from the links attached to this interview. Mike, how are you, mate?
I am great, all things considered. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to see you again too, brother. And all things considered is the watchword for everybody I speak to at the moment. Yeah. So I'm without delving any further into the conversation we just had off camera, I'm glad to see you in good shape, mate. Let's talk.
Yeah, I'm in 2019. I'm actually in 2019.
Yeah, I love it.
In Tyrell's office.
I mean, what better time to be talking about a dystopian future than the dystopian present
when you're in one,
in which we're living.
Yeah.
So, mate, it's really lovely to see you again. Can you tell us where in the Blade Runner timeline does the new 2029 series fit? I know there's a clue in the title, but you know where in the pantheon of Blade Runner are we?
Yeah. So. It features the main character, Ash, our Blade Runner from the 2019 book. And for readers who read the 12 issues of Blade Runner 2019, they'll know that we actually jumped forward a few years at a couple points. So by the end of the 12 issues, we were in 2027. So this new book, 2029, picks up with Ash after she's rejoined the Blade Runner unit. And there's a new villain and a new threat, and we're beginning to see the development of the replicant underground that we eventually see 20 years later in 2049, protecting Deckard's daughter. So 2029 is a really important milestone year in terms of the evolution of that story. And then we'll have 2039 hopefully down the road. So
superb, mate. I mean, what does it feel like to be involved with such a beloved franchise, and not only that, but then to have created a new character who's been embraced as wholeheartedly as Ash has?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, all my gratitude goes to Michael Green, who co-wrote Blade Runner 2049, the movie, and asked me to join him on this. And then to have partners like Alcon and Titan who are open to adding to the mythology through comics. So they're excited about the possibilities that comics can bring, and let us create a new Blade Runner, not just do the further adventures of Deckard, but to actually show corners of the Blade Runner world that we haven't seen before. And then to see the reaction to Ash is great. I mean, as two white males, we knew that we couldn't have another white male Blade Runner. We'd already had two, and we wanted to take a different tack and also a different personality behind the Blade Runner. Unlike the two previous ones, Ash has a real point of view at the beginning of her story in 2019, where she dislikes replicants so much she'll sell their parts for money.
Yeah.
And the story of that first year of books of the 2019 series is her meeting a replicant and realizing that they are not, they're much more than she thought they were. They're much more than just machines. And also realizing that people are actually the most, I should say, organic humans, quote unquote, true humans are just as, if not more dangerous than a rogue replicant.
Yeah. Yeah, no, well said. I think that's a very interesting dynamic. And you've kind of brilliantly second guessed one of the questions I was going to ask you, which is that Ash starts out hunting replicants. Now she's helping to hide them. Well, within the mythology and within her arc, what do you think the main reasons are for that change of heart without giving too much away?
Yeah, I think it goes back to her childhood, growing up on the streets of Los Angeles and being very aware from an early age. And you can see some of this in the Free Comic Book Day issue of Blade Runner, which is out there, which we show scenes from her past, she became very aware of the power disparity in the world. That, to quote the line from the first movie, if you're not cop, you're little people. And she was a little person, grew up around the quote unquote little people, and worked her way up in a position of authority to become a cop and a Blade Runner. And I think what happened to her was meeting a replicant who was caring for a child, a human child, the way a real mother would, really kind of shattered Ash's preconceptions of what replicants were. They were simply a means to, they were objects to her before, like a toaster. But actually having a one-on-one, I don't want to say adventure, but experience with this replicant, Isabel, from the first series, basically changed Ash's mind. And then towards the end of the 2019 series, she meets Frasier, who is a character that we see in the 2049 movie talking to Ryan Gosling. She's the one without an eye. She's like the leader of the resistance at that point. We meet her 20 years younger as a young woman when she meets Ash, and they fall in love. So Ash goes from thinking replicants were toasters to finding a partner in life who is a replicant that is more meaningful to her than any person, than any real person has been. And that's where we find her. And what sets the 2029 book apart is Ash is leading this double life where she's hunting replicants in her day job, and putting down the bad ones. There are bad replicants, but there are good ones. And those are the ones that she rescues and sends to Frasier's underground. So she's living a bit of a double life, and that's going to get increasingly complicated.
Oh man, I can't wait to read the whole thing, actually. And I say that from the privileged position of having been able to read some of it because of where I'm talking to you from, but I can't wait to read the whole thing, mate. Now cool. You've touched upon somebody I wanted to ask you about. It was Michael Green, who's your co-writer on the series, who's the screenwriter for 2049, the movie. How did you guys find each other, and how does your working relationship break down?
Yeah, we actually went to college together, and I was struggling to hone my comic drawing skills. Like a lot of comics writers, were failed comics artists, but at the time I had there's this famous giant door-shaped Jim Lee poster of the X-Men, and I had that up. Huge comics nerd. And then Michael was writing for the theater department. And we were friends, but we didn't really talk about collaboration or anything. And then we both ended up in LA a few years later, and Michael was writing television and then got an offer to write for DC Comics. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you help me? Can you read my comic scripts and just help me speak comic language visually?" So I helped him with that. And eventually he said, "Why don't you just write these with me?" So I did. And we worked on Superman, Batman, and Supergirl for DC. And then when the Blade Runner opportunity came along, he said, "Do you want to do this?" And I said, "Are you kidding?" And we started doing it. And then we co-wrote the first series, 2019. And then on this new series, 2029, I'm writing it solo with Michael as a creative consultant. So sort of I can bounce things off of. And he knows Blade Runner so well, he can sort of, if I'm going a little too far off track, he can pull me back in. So it's worked out really well.
It so has. I mean, I think we talked a bit about this during virtual San Diego. This book for us at Titan has just been such a pleasure to publish because, when you see the scripts come in, the scripts are awesome. See the artwork come in, and it's just blowing everybody away. And to that point, how does that feel? I mean, to be working with an artist like Andres, to have that experience, how has that been for you?
It's been fantastic. I mean, Andres is someone who is a writer's dream because you can throw anything at him. I mean, we've done everything from a spinner chase through a industrial park to, a high class, luxury dinner scene in a restaurant or something. He can do anything we throw at him, and his detail is incredible. I see flashes of legendary artists. Like some of his detail gets to like Jeff Darrow levels.
Oh, mate, that's exactly what I was going
Right,
to say to you.
right, yeah.
I've got that question right here.
Oh, excellent. Yeah,
Yeah. He does have
yeah.
that Jeff Darrow vibe,
He does
undoubtedly.
have a Darrow vibe, and I think he's got a bit of Frank Quitely as well in some of
Yes.
the
Yeah.
facial expressions,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
the feeling of I've always felt like Quitely's work is very tactile. Like
Yes.
it's a
It's
very
got real
physical,
texture to it,
real
hasn't it?
texture to it,
Yeah.
and Andres
Yeah.
has that too. And yeah, and the other thing is to be able to have the same artist for as long as we've done it. So we're moving on. I'm getting pages, for the next couple of 2029 issues, and to be able to have the same artist not only helps us as writers, but also really adds to Ash and her development as a character, because you're seeing her evolution through the eyes of the same artist. And we have a bit of a different look. We're tweaking Ash's outfit a little bit in 2029, and we'll see that change as we go. And he's just doing incredible work. And Marco Lesko on the colors, which are so vitally important
Such a
to
great
Blade
job.
Runner. Yeah, and Jim Campbell on the letters. Lettering is
Yeah.
an unappreciated art, I think, in comics, and
Yeah.
Jim just does such a perfect job of like taking making sure the placement of the balloons doesn't get in the way of the art for Blade Runner, which is so important visually, but also conveying the story in the dialogue in a great way. So we just have been really lucky, and David's been great.
And
Shepherding.
That's my old
everything.
pal David Leach, the editor.
David Leach, our hardworking editor.
Yeah.
And so it's been a real treat.
The supremely enthusiastic David Leach.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. In fact, I think we're going to Zoom in a couple days.
Oh, great. Well, when you see him,
check in.
might see him before you, but you must tell him said
hello.
I
will.
Yeah, David's somebody I often do a bunch of our presentations with when we literally are doing San Diego. And the great thing about him, David and I go way back, but he is so enthusiastic.
Well, he's a wonderful editor, because he doesn't try to tell us what to write, but he's there to bounce ideas off of. I had a terrible writer's block a few weeks ago, and Zoomed with him, and just that short conversation got me sparking ideas that I had trouble coming up with. So it's just been really, really great.
Yeah, he's super creative. You've got a great machine going on the book, I think.
Yeah,
and something when you're talking about lettering before, I think back when I look at the lettering on this book, I think of not people whose letters look like this, but I think one of the great things about Blade Runner is it's one of those books with recognizable lettering and with real character in the lettering. In the same way that back in the day for Marvel, you had guys like Tom Wachikowski, you could always, or for like Justice League, Bob Lepine, who did all those amazing Justice League books, and that real character. I mean, and back in the day, in the 40s, you had the guy that worked with Will Eisner, whose name escapes me for the moment, but just on the Spirit has incredible lettering, So it's to be able to do that in the present day and to bring that lettering, and you're talking about Andros, something I thought was that, in addition to Quitely and Frank, who were like brilliant, Jeff Darrow, who were like brilliant reference points. I think another person that he's like, even though he's not like this guy as an artist, it's if you see Steve Dillon and Steve Dillon's ability with character, I think that's where Steve Dillon was unlike anybody else.
Work.
Me too, man.
Just a legend, and you're absolutely right in terms of the emotion to be able to deliver lines of dialogue, which is really important especially when you're writing a story based on a film franchise where the readers are coming at it with their memories of actors talking. So the comic needs to be able to convey that kind of life on the page. And Andres is just
and that's it. His artwork, Andres's artwork is a performance, which is it's just so cool. And so, Mike, to kind of wrap up, have you got anything? If you were going to steer Blade Runner fans into this second series that you've read 2019, have you got any kind of little Easter eggs that you'd point them towards to watch out for?
What I would say actually is you're going to meet a replicant who wants to burn it all down. So whereas we've seen replicants like Roy Batty, who's trying to get extended life, or other replicants who are just trying to live normal lives out of the undetected, you're going to meet a replicant, a Nexus 8, who has an extended lifespan, normal lifespan, who wants to burn down the society that could allow replicants to be enslaved. And that's a new level of threat that Ash has to deal with. And while she might be sympathetic with some of the philosophies undergirding our new adversary, she will unavoidably come into conflict with him. The other thing I want to mention before we go is our upcoming book, Blade Runner Origins, which is going to be set in 2009, and that's written by Kay Perkins and Mello Brown. I helped out with the first issue and the sort of basic setup, but they're doing this incredible job building out the Blade Runner universe in those early days. And we're talking, I don't want to promise anything, but we're talking about ways that our two books can kind of weave together, and you might see things set up and paid off back and forth. So very excited about that. And that's, I think, February 2021, Blade Runner Origins.
I can't wait. And finally, Mike, what else are you working on at the moment?
Yeah, most of my other time is spent working on Star Trek in comics and video games, which is a really exciting place to be right now with the new shows coming out. And I think a higher awareness of Trek in pop culture. You know, we had the great JJ movies, and then it was quiet for a little bit, and now it's really come back in a big way. So it's kind of fun I used to say I would go from a utopia in Star Trek to dystopia in Blade Runner. But given the state of the world right now, it's like utopia in Star Trek, kind of rotten in Blade Runner world, and then the dystopia is what we live in.
The dystopia in 2020, yeah. We're heading into the weirdest holiday period, the weirdest Yuletide of my entire life. Yeah.
Yeah, just hoping everybody stays safe, healthy. Please wear a mask.
Yeah, right. Wear those masks. Yeah. Americans, wear your mask.
Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah, I'm not talking. Yeah, you guys are fine. I'm talking to my fellow Yanks over here.
Yeah, that's great, mate. I mean, we're very proud. My colleagues at Titan Comics are very proud to be working with you guys on this book, and are just blown away by the work that you have done and Andres has done. I mean, it's supremely satisfying. It's not just the fact that you've managed to do something completely fresh with a franchise that was the holy grail of being adapted correctly for comics for a long time. Not only have you adapted it correctly, but you've extended that universe, which is a pleasure, a privilege, and a blessing. And to see you be able to do that, everybody feels so proud of the book, mate. So that's all on you. Thank you for such a great job.
Well, thank you guys for being such great partners. And, you know, us writers and artists, we work in our little caves and alone. So it's really nice to hear that feedback. Thank you.
Oh, mate, and I can't wait until we're back on the road and we're actually at San Diego. We're actually at
New York. I want to talk to people about Blade Runner,
because I know what those audiences are going to be like. I can't wait for those panels, mate. You know, I really
can. Oh, well, from your lips to
Yes, indeed, to the hand of Trump. No, God, no, Biden. You know, all those.
Brand new era.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. The new Black Hawk era is upon us. And on that note, this has been FPTV New Releases, where I've been talking about Blade Runner 2029 with the man, the myth, the legend, the creator behind the whole thing, Mike Johnson. Great to see you again, mate.
Great to see you, my friend. Thank you.
Take care, brother. All the very best.
Take care.